What's up everybody, Landon here with LMR.com. In today's video, I'll quickly talk about 5.0 Resto's Smog Pump Delete Assembly and show you the steps you need to take to install one into your Fox Mustang. Deleting the smog pump from your 1982 to 1995 5-liter base Mustang is beneficial in a few different ways. You'll gain some additional workroom within the engine bay, and you're even going to pick up a little power since you're eliminating the rotational resistance of the pump itself. This smog pump delete, or smog pump eliminator, however you want to call it, is designed with simplicity in mind. It isn't over-engineered or a complicated component. It is going to consist of a 4.5-inch diameter pulley that will incorporate 6 ribs, which will allow you to reuse your existing belt. Speaking of retaining hardware, you can reuse what you take off of the car, or you can take this time to upgrade to 5.0 Resto's hardware. Their hardware includes both the long and the short bolt, along with the bracket retaining nut and the bracket. All of the hardware is manufactured by ARP, so not only is it going to offer good looks, but it's going to offer resistance to corrosion as well. Now, the only disclosure for this part is the fact that you are removing a component related to pollution or emissions. It is important to check your local laws and regulation before installing this delete, as all states typically have different emission laws. Also note that removing the smog pump and the rest of the components associated with the pump, you will have to plug the back of the cylinder heads. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is an absolute pain in the you-know-what because of the years of carbon buildup and the lack of workroom. Typically, what I find that works best if you're doing this with the engine in the car is to flute the plugs and then thread them into the holes to clean out the carbon. As far as fitment goes for this smog pump delete, it will fit 1982 to 1995 5-liter based engines. Now, 1994 to 1995 owners will have to slightly clearance the delete bracket and the accessory bracket to achieve proper belt alignment. In the box will be one smog pump delete, with the rest of the components being available on the site individually. Begin by supporting the entire vehicle with a lift or just the front with jack stands. Rotate the belt tensioner with an 18mm socket and a breakover bar. Slide the belt off of the smog pump. Disconnect the mass air connection, if equipped, and remove the inlet pipe. Dislodge the small vacuum line from the diverter valve and the air bypass valve. Loosen and remove the top 1/2-inch smog pump retaining bolt. From underneath the car, loosen and remove the 1/2-inch nut from the stud on the engine block. Bring the smog pump down and then remove the hose. The clamp on our car was broken, but more than likely, you'll have to loosen this clamp first before removing the hose. Remove the smog pump from the car. Remove the 5/8 bolt securing the small bracket. Either clean and reuse the factory hardware, or pick up our hardware kit that includes a new bracket and properly spec'd ARP hardware. Apply some anti-seize to the shorter bolt, the longer bolt including the shoulder, and the stud on the engine block. Position the delete assembly and slide the long bolt through the top. This can be loosely tightened at this time. Position the bracket over the stud and thread on the nut. Align the bracket with the delete and loosely tighten the short bolt. Go ahead and snug down the hardware and then fully tighten. While you're underneath the car, loosen the hose clamps that secure the rubber hose to the mid-pipe and the air tube. To keep things simple, I just cut ours right down the middle. Remove the hose from the mid-pipe. Take a pair of vice grips and crimp the end of the tube on the mid-pipe. You can also cut this flush with the piping and weld it up. Moving back into the engine bay, loosen the hose clamp that secures the upper hose to the upper check valve. Loosen and remove the lower hose from the bottom of the air diverter valve. This portion of the smog equipment is free to come out. On our car, the air tube bracket was loose, so we left it in place and addressed the thermactor tube. This tube is secured to the back of each cylinder head with 1/2-inch bolts. Loosen and remove these bolts. In order to remove the thermactor tube, you will need to separate the plastic vacuum union and position it out of the way. rotate the thermactor tube in a way that allows you to remove it from behind the engine. Now you can remove the air tube from the car. Reconnect the vacuum union. Leave approximately a ½ inch of tubing exposed from the union so that you can properly cap these lines. The lines that need to be capped were connected to the air diverter and air bypass valve. Cap these lines with 5/32 vacuum caps. Now comes the fun part. What I have found that works best on cleaning the carbon out of the back of the cylinder heads is by fluting the smog plugs. Carefully do this with a grinder and be sure to use proper eye and body protection. Once the flutes are made, thread the plug a few turns until the flutes become filled with carbon. Clean the flutes and repeat. Do this until the entire opening is carbon free. Once this is achieved, apply some high temp thread locking compound with sealer to the threads. Run the plug all the way into the head until it is flush with the back of the cylinder head. I typically use a quarter or a bolt with a floating washer to run the plug all the way down. Do this for both sides. Now you can reassemble the air intake system and reconnect the mass airflow connection if it's equipped. Before installing the belt, verify that yours does not need to be replaced. Ours did, so we installed a Motorcraft belt specific to our year range and application. Properly route the drive belt onto the engine. Rotate the tensioner and then position the belt into place. From there, you'll need to allow the thread sealer to fully cure, and then you can start the car to verify that everything works as it should. After that, you're all finished. Whenever you plan on removing the smog pump from your Fox or SN95, allow yourself enough time to properly plug the heads. The rest of the smog pump junk can be removed fairly quickly. Once you do get all that crap out of the engine bay, you'll be asking yourself why you didn't do this sooner. For the most current pricing and product information on this smog pump delete, be sure and reference the product page. To see more how-to and review videos covering industry-leading products, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and don't forget to turn on notifications. While you're at it, check out our other videos, and of course, for all things 1979 to present Mustang and SVT Lightning, keep it right here with the real enthusiasts, LMR.com.